is up? And welcome. Welcome to and or welcome back. I'm firelotusthewitch, and yeah, welcome to another live witches chat. So in these, we basically right now though, this one's kind of gonna be just like a relaxed hangout edition. I didn't go live on TikTok today because of, eh. But yeah, what is up? I hope everybody is doing and having a great day. Let me move this. Let's move this. Afternoon, afternoon. What is up, everybody? What is up? By the way, I've already taken my afternoon medication, so if I get a little weird or wonky, it's because of that. But hi, what is up? What is up? I would have went live earlier today, but originally I was planning on something else, and that just completely derailed. So I was like, you know what? Let's go live here on YouTube. Um, what was I about to say? Oh, YouTube episode. Hello, YouTube episode is officially live. I'm making some serious changes in my life. Oh, that is awesome, and I hope everything goes well. Just wanted to let you know that the reading you did and the working are doing so good. Oh, thank you so much for updating me and letting me know. Thank you. So, like, okay, again, chilled, easy, laid back one. Like, we are going to talk about a couple of things. Um, but, like, I officially understand the retrogrades. Not like shit's going south or shit's going bad, but what it brings out in other people. And if you don't want to listen to this and you log off, I completely understand. But, like, y'all know how I use these two to kind of vent, but also help educate in a way. So something happened to me today, and I'm going to use it as an educational conversation that I've personally never experienced, really, but it comes with the territory. So I made a TikTok, and I will post it here because it's still important. Although I did just learn an interesting fact that I'll get to that too. The package is shipping today. I had. Oh, okay, sweet. Um, so I made a video because I saw somebody who I guess they are a witch. I don't know. Basically, stating that somebody told them that the trick and the secret to their garden is to use graveyard or cemetery dirt. So I stitched a video and I was like, no, that's like a really bad idea. Interesting fact and update that I personally have to research. There are actually a lot of cultures that actually practice that, where they will actually use it around their properties, their family's cemetery dirt. They'll actually use it around their properties and for their crops. So, like, I myself did not even realize that. So, like, I'll agree, right? But there was confusion because apparently the way that I worded it was I was telling witches don't use graveyard dirt or cemetery dirt, right? And y'all know me. If I fumble on my words or if I make content to where the point that I wanted to get does not come across, normally it does, I'll do a correction video, clarification video, which I did in said video. If you don't use TikTok, you can respond to comments with the video and it leaves it in that comment section, normally at the very top of it. I had a very big practitioner today, bigger than I am at least, on the app, way bigger than I am, um, stitched that video and basically just completely dragged me in the dirt. And this is not like a sympathetic post or anything like that. I'm okay. But it was eye-opening because I also used to make videos like that. Like, I used to make videos just ripping people apart. I still do, but I don't rip them apart. I do it in an educational way, and I'm like, this is my option on this. Um, but that particular video, it mentally fucked me up because I not that I agree with everything that creator has done. Obviously, I follow over 1,000 people. I'm not going to agree with everybody, but I'm an adult. I understand that we're all different. We're all going to have different views on things. Completely drugged me down, called me a fake witch, basically stated that I'm one of the fake witch talkers because I did fuck up and actually say calling upon witch talk. I should have said the witches of TikTok. And then the comments were worse, right? So I was like, all right, I got 3 trolls after that in the same video, basically calling, or in my video in the comments, calling me a baby witch, telling me that I need to shut up and sit the fuck down. Why is this new to me? Because normally I've never experienced it before. Yeah, I've had 1 or 2 hate comments, but I normally block them, and the main reason that is because I edit. I mean, I have most of my filters, my comment section filtered on all platforms. If it has anything to do with teeth or multiple other phrases, you can't even put that comment there, which means I don't see it. The number one thing you can do, the number one worst thing you can do if you're in a low moment, don't go read comment sections if like a lot of people are being mean. Just don't do it, because they're hollow echoes, right? They are people that in some way, shape, or form are projecting them on self. Fame doesn't equal knowledge. Each culture has their own preferences. Exactly, and I 100% agree with that. And for one, I don't see myself as famous at all. I try not to, and I try to not act famous because I know I'm not. Like, obviously, if it's not for y'all, all the people that watch, comment, and share, I would be nobody. But it was the fact that what irritated me the most, because it wasn't just one. There have been 4 videos stitched from that same video completely calling me out and telling me that due to the fact that I said witch talk, I deserve everything that's coming to me. 3 things that are shocking to me. You would think they would be younger people or people my age. No, they're not. 2 of them could probably be my grandparents, right? And I'm not discriminating on age at all. I'm saying, does the internet just completely make people forget that they're adults? Because, or even human, because like with the amount of followers that I have on all platforms, I still don't see that. I suck at number value. So to me, it's just a bunch of cool people that I became friends with. Like literally, my partner says all types of shit to me every day, and I'm like, I don't understand this, but okay. It was the fact, the biggest thing was, besides that, it was the fact that they didn't take 5 seconds to go look at my other videos on my profile. And obviously, I don't have to justify this to anybody because I've been practicing for almost 20 years. Do I know everything? Fuck no. Do I know my own personal craft? Yes. And hello. And it was the fact that they just, they went directly for the throat. And yes, I know, I'm part of the internet. This is going to happen. But my thing is, why does it need to happen? With that being said, I'm not saying you can't correct people, but if you are going to go online and state that you are a teacher, you are a mentor, the number one thing of that, even if you are trying to teach your followers a lesson, you don't have to degrade somebody. You don't have to insult somebody, and you damn sure should not talk down to anybody. In school, in multiple areas of my life, that is the number one thing that I don't care how old you are, I don't care who you are, I don't care any of it. Obviously, my family or my ancestors, that's different, but they're also not going to talk down to me like I'm a 6-year-old. Like, do I know everything? Fuck no, which is why I don't talk about things that I don't know enough of to talk about. I've had plenty of questions, but like, hey, can you do a series on this? No, I don't know enough. Hey, can you do this thing about witch history? No, because I don't know enough, because that's not my interest. I feel like they have a problem with their own craft and not confident. That's what a lot of people have said, and that's what I think it is. Because, and obviously I'm not going to give any names out. I didn't even online. I haven't told anybody of who they actually are. I've been doing this for 20 years, and if I made a video saying white sage is good for cleansing, 8 people would make a video saying I'm wrong. This is true, but what I wasn't expecting was, I should be expecting this. I guess I've never experienced this. Right after that one video was made, obviously this is also how the internet works. We all see a viral video. If we have something we can add to the conversation, we stitch the video. But what bothers me the most is I don't understand why people don't actually check other people out. Like, if I come across what I would consider okay, maybe I wouldn't have said that, okay, this may be dangerous, I go and look at their other videos, because it may just be a fluke. Like, it may be just this. But then I also got pissed off at myself because I couldn't let it go. And then every time I did let it go, I would log into the app and there would be another video. And I realized, for one, we're in multiple different types of retrogrades. Not that I'm blaming everything on the planets, But I I still am not. For one, I had people in those comments of those videos stating, "Look, you missed the point of their video." My video was saying, "Don't. I would not preferably use it in plotting soil." To me, I see that as disrespectful, but that maybe just be Southern. That may be how I was raised. Now that I know other cultures actually do it, and the point of this, the point of all of this, is we are witches. We're not all the same. We are practitioners. We're not all the same. We're going to look different. Many people don't look at the same way as you. I know it's hard to understand people. No, 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 no. I get that. I understand that we're all going to have different views. It's not that. It was the vengefulness and the just pure disrespect that I experienced without understanding it. That was my only problem with that. I understand we're all going to have things. But some of the problems that I had with this one creator was they said that I was a fake witch because I didn't know how to use Google. Google, and I don't care who disagrees with this, Google is very bad to use as a research reference point due to the fact of how in itself, depending on what you search, comes up. And then they said that somebody in the comments stated that they would believe the person who stitched the video because of the aesthetic look that they have, or just the look that they have versus apparently how I looked. And I had my hair, no, I had my hair down in that video. And I'm like, this is how much TikTok has ruined people. And it's gross for people to react that way. Right? That is the only thing that I have on that. Exactly. Like, if what they came at me and said were actually have been correct in any way, shape, or form, I would have been like, okay, no, yeah, you're right. You completely have a point there. I was in the wrong. But it wasn't an educational thing. They just completely tore me apart and like, well, obviously you don't know how to do research. And I'm like, I never stated you shouldn't use graveyard dirt. And that's what they focused on. They were portraying the story as I was purposely saying no witch should use graveyard dirt or cemetery dirt. And I'm the exact same way. Energy. Call someone a fake witch for their looks and then... Exactly. That's what I had. I was like, you're telling people to use Google to do your research and then you're saying that I'm a novice and a fake witch. I've been doing this for almost 20 years. No, that's not a flex. I'm saying in general. You said in my early days of my craft, you should not be teaching if you were a witchling. I took that and ran with it. I researched everything I heard or thought was fake. Exactly. And it bugged me. It just, I don't understand that. Like, the internet, because I do edit another practitioner. He's actually a cultist video. And in one video, somebody put into terms of what is wrong with how some of the witches are going about what they're doing as a beginner. Everybody, that's why I call them seedlings or sprouts, because every witch, every person starts somewhere at some time, right? We've all been there before. But there are certain things that you need to be able to study, like energy work, grounding, protection, shielding, certain of the what most people would consider the basics of witchcraft. And it's in any book. Any book that you pick up, normally if it's written right, will have these basics in it. But thanks to TikTok and the internet and the Panorama, when everybody discovered it, they skip these steps. And they wonder why they have issues. Your response about the graveyard dirt was correct. Oh, thank you. But the way that they're going about it, like, I've seen multiple people and they're like, yeah, you know, I've been a witch for like a month and a half, and then they're trying to throw a death hex. And I'm like, or they exactly like the selenite chalk. It's common sense too, but at the same time, it's like, people are jumping. They're trying to invoke gods. The Of Blood and Bone book that I have, that has been released. I think it's the second chapter. It's become the god or goddess. That can be extremely dangerous for somebody who doesn't physically know how to take in and hold energy safely. They were super polarized by you. Maybe that means you're doing something right. Did you hear the power of the occult has a TikTok? Oh, I did not. And thank you. That's what a lot of people have said. They're like, you're just making it, and it's an insecurity. And I'm like, this is true. Like, this is true. And that's why I haven't responded. At first, I was going to start stitching shit. Nope. I responded. The very first one who did it, I actually emailed them. Whether I'll hear back from them, probably not. But interesting fact. At any point in time, if I ever had, because in my earlier stages of being on the app, I disagreed with multiple people. I direct messaged them or emailed them explaining to them, like, look, it was a misunderstanding. I'm sorry. I hope nothing I said or did, like, harmed you in any way. I was going through this or yada, yada, yada. I was explaining my situation. I've had 3 of them respond. And one of them was my first viral video, and that was just the creator who was telling people how to summon an incubus and a succubus as a pet. I've been doing some shadow work on this because I work in quantum for the collective of a lot, and witch links is something that's coming up, and my guides say not to worry about it. Witch links doing work they don't understand. It's common as fuck. Okay, and this is true. The only reason I was slightly worried about it, and I slightly am, is because TikTok changed things. Yes, we had YouTube, but with TikTok, you have more practitioners coming together showing stuff. And some of the things that certain people are teaching, they don't understand that there are different levels to witchcraft. There is stuff for beginners. There are stuff, and we're not doing that to gatekeep. We're doing that because if you do something before you were mentally, physically, and energetically, if you're not prepared for it, it can have physical life-altering results. And I know a lot of people's like, well, that's called natural selection and fucking around and finding out. But the way that I see it is if I can help one person, I don't know. I don't know where this is going. Research the crap out of everything before trying it. Exactly. And if you do research, unless for some reason you only have access to Google, and if you do, and you only use Google, at least go to like the 5th or 7th page. I think TikTok is pretty good, but it's way too much quantity and not quality. Exactly. And like one of the reasons I stopped doing 60-second teaching videos. And now I'm doing like 3-minute videos, which reminds me I gotta finish the energy work video. And hopefully that was saved as a draft. I think that was saved as a draft. I've made so many videos today. Basically my guides were like, yes, this is happening, but it's not going to disturb my work. They will only bring pain on themselves. Which is very true, It's just, I don't know, I guess I'm like, some blinder, I'm assuming it had to do with the planet or my own spiritual practice, but some fucking blinder that I had on today, or some tinted glasses that I had on today were just ripped right off, and I'm just like, oh, holy shit! But that's okay, because I blocked them. I don't have to worry about... I blocked them on all accounts. That way I don't have to worry about them. And it's actually one of the reasons that I'm not live on my TikTok right now. Because I don't want a bunch of trolls there and then flagging that shit. Because TikTok is so addicting, it's very hard to actually get people from there to there. Not really, because some of y'all are also from there. It's always good to research at least 10 verified sources up to 50, and then, I mean, there are supposed to verify information anyways. Exactly! You were allowed to react, not trying to downplay your words at all. Much respect. Thank you, and I have to remind myself of that, because I get into my head, I'm like, well, if I'm reacting, I'm causing drama, and I'm like, no, you're not. You're venting, but also, you haven't mentioned anybody. And yes, you're 100% correct on that, too, with research. The only issue that I will state, and I'm trying to figure out videos for it, is there are some terms, even if using alternate platforms, it's the one problem that I can say it's really not a problem. It's just, there's a lot of variety, a lot of umbrella terms, and those umbrella terms are also what's slightly making research slightly difficult for some people. And then what also winds up happening, and I wish every creator on TikTok would say this in one video, which a lot of people have, numbers do not dictate knowledge, but it's also with that, don't take everything that everybody says 100%. Even what I say, take with a grain of salt until, like y'all said, do research. Because I've had people come to me and they're like, no, not to me. It was, oh, I can't think of his friend. I cannot think of his, I want to say it's gay best friend. It's a mutual TikToker. Normally he sparks a lot of interesting conversations and it like opens the table. But he had somebody come to him one time and they're like, I want to book a spell from you. And he's like, okay. Like, what do you mean? What type of spell? And or apparently this person had went to somebody. Basically, instead of getting a reading, or it didn't even need a reading or spell work. It was basically this person was trying to figure out what witch they were because they were told that everything was closed except for Wicca and paganism. And they told me that, and I'm like, what? Like, this hurts my brain. This hurts it. Everyone has their own time and should not compare. Exactly. Please do not compare yourself to each other. Or to anybody else, for that matter. Hello, I'm glad you're alive today. It's been a rough day mentally. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I hope in this moment right now, you can... Yes, they said everything was closed except for... Like, closed off except for Wicca and paganism. And I'm like, we're to this point now. At this point, every breathing is closed. Like, right? Like, lighting a candle is closed at this point. And it's confusing so many fucking people, but that's the one issue that came up today. Because I had a lot of people, they're like, well, stitch those videos back and, like, show them receipts. And I'm like, that's just it. Besides our own knowledge and the way that we carry it over as a witch, we don't have like identification cards or like, well, I mean, if you're Wicca, you do, and certain other pagan paths you do, but we don't have like degrees in like witchcraft almost 20 years. And that's the issue that we're having. So I want to try to make an educational video on slight red flags, as in it. In my opinion, if all the knowledge you get, you can find on the first Google page, that's not research. I hope that came across over. Wait, is living closed? I guess so. Labs are unnecessary, right? But like, it's just, I'm like, I'm trying to simplify this, and my ancestors are like, there's no simplifying it. And I'm like, I'm a stubborn, hard-headed Aries. You're my ancestors. You should know this because y'all are all also stubborn and hard-headed. But, like, I want to, and I know there's no way to. Like, the only way that all of this shit would go away, and this has only happened in my knowledge here in the United States twice, in the history of the United States, which is still very young. Even if like a council of witches came together at this point, like an international council of witches came together and like started actually getting shit organized, I guarantee you half the people would be like, no, what gives you the authority? Which is kind of true because like I've asked questions like, and it fucked me up by some of the responses. And the question that I asked is like, if you were to have life-threatening some type of operation, right? Would you pick a doctor who's freshly out of college, or would you pick a person who's been doing it for 40 years? And the responses were mind-blowing because a lot of people, or some people went what I originally said, well, I would try to go with the seasoned person. And then other people were like, no, that's not always fair because everybody is different. So, like, what this one person in 1 year or who just graduated medical school could have learned could quadruple what the person who'd been in it for like 40 years had done. I will always question authority. Oh, I love it. Being an authentic human is closed. Cancel culture eases an accessory. You must fit the status social. Oh, well, I'm going to be burned at a stake then. I'm totally going to be burned at a stake. Also, with that, thanks to an episode that I listened from Seba, the Southern Fried Witch. Why is it every single time somebody talks about their past lives, it's always ancient? It's never like, oh yeah, no, I was a straight up hippie, like way back then in the 60s. Dude, straight up. Like, why is that? Why was nobody like, oh yeah, well, I was a housewife or a husband or business owner in the Victorian age. Like, I don't understand that. Why does everybody always go back to like the same? Like, I would love to live in the 30s or 40s. I probably would not last long, and or I would probably be arrested. But I would, the Victorian age, sign me up. Do y'all know how many people I'd go back and meet? Edgar Allan Poe. I know these are not the actual time frames, but like Edgar Allan Poe, Emily Dickinson. Uh, my past life was 1932, and I was killed by a car crash. Oh, it's not cool that you were killed by a car crash, but that's cool that like it was like recent. Personally, think if you have any questions about anything, try to find someone in that area. Oh, I love that. I love that. 99 to 100% of the time, past lives are just people trying to convince themselves that they are more important than they really are. Yes! I agree. Everybody wants to believe they're a celeb, but the theory on this whole lives so I can share past lives. Yes! 1800s died of chloroform. I'd love a past life reading. But like you said, last 100 years, my past life was... I've actually only... Have I done a past life? I think I've only done like 1 or 2 past life videos. I mean, readings. Which I have a deck. They're just very complex. Like, more complex than tarot decks. Was not expecting that one. That I'm eventually going to do. My past life was a bootlegger in the 30s. I was a man in my life, and I was once a black slave and a native woman. How are you? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And yes, I love that. From some of the past lives, I was in the military. Not here in America, obviously. And I legit just disobeyed my lieutenant. And if I wouldn't have disobeyed him, I'd still be alive. But yeah, I was like, no, I can do this better. I did not do it better. And at one point in time, I was some type of blacksmith, which is weird because fire scares the shit out of me. Kind of. Uncontrolled fire scares the shit out of me. Other fire, I'm a pyro and just stare at the flame. I was many in my past life. I'll let you practice read on me. LOL. I can send you herbs and stuff from my yard. Oh, that would be awesome. What do you think of a starseed narrative? Returns and conditions to past lives. Okay, for one with the past lives, I also believe that past lives could also be our future lives. And that's slightly out there. But the starseed, I don't like a lot of where the basis from it comes from. There are a lot of ties to that with, and I'm still on YouTube, so I'm going to have to somehow say this where people understand it, with the symbol on the, that the Russians are currently using, the Z symbol, it was linked to that rhetoric. And then, like, starseeds also go with indigo children, crystal children, and we discovered now that they were basically, it's autism. It's on the spectrum of autism and or neurodivergent, bipolar. It was things that they didn't really believe in back then. And back then, as in like the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s, up into the early 90s, and I think it started dying off in 2000s or grown popularity. But they were basically autistic people. Now, the starseed language, which I can speak, also known as baby language and or first language, and or depending on where you do your research, it's speaking in tongues. I can do it and I can understand mine. I've only met 2 other people that I can understand their language. But the problem that I have with that, it's mixing too many things. Like in some part of the starseed thing, the same amount of number of people that will go back to heaven and be reclaimed is also represented in that. So, depending on what type of starseed book or information you read, we were chosen to come here and heal and wake up people. The problem with that was 10 years ago, you didn't really hear the terms phasing, or even though I've done it before, time shifting, and or like ascending to 5D. You didn't hear that. That started around, from what I understand, 2019, 2020, 2021, basically around the Palmarama. Um, I can kind of understand it. Exactly, but the issue that I have with it is like, depending on what type of starseed you are, there are like 7 to 8 specific types of aliens, and then there's the reptile people that are our enemies. And it's almost like somebody took the core principles from Christianity and other religions and just threw extraterrestrial information on it. But I do know one of the creators that are tied to star seeds, um, one of them, one of many, he worked for a really, really bad guy back in the past, and he asked the universe or God for a sign, and he walked outside and looked up, and a giant cross formed in the clouds, and it was supposed to be extraterrestrials. And then, yeah, it's. Oh, Lotus, I'll tell your story on Instagram. Okay. Now, with that being said, coming from a shadow work and smoke, I'm a shadow runner and smoke. Starseed narrative is highly problematic in my book, but I do agree with some have lived other species in different planets. No, I do agree with that. Well, I don't disagree with it either. That's still kind of undetermined for me. But again, I also believe in aliens and everything like that, so it's entirely possible. And what actually made me a believer in all of that, I have a friend, and I'm gonna call her Apple. I know that's weird, but I'm gonna call her Apple. Um, I can go over to her house because they're a starseed. To me, they're a witch, but they will not claim the title witch because of the area that they come from, or the era they come from. It's just like a no-no. Like it did not mean what it means now. Um, but like I can just talk to her on the phone or go hang out with her for like 10, 20 minutes, and I am completely recharged and like redone. And she's on TikTok. They give off psychic readings, and they're not like, they're onto something I've never experienced before. But I also get what I used to call downloads. My ears will ring all the time, and normally I'll get information. Um, but with the extraterrestrial thing, I don't know. That, and like I don't like some of the people that's like, this is the intergalactic space. And the reason this fucks with me so much, to be straight up honest, is because I'm also that person where, like, just because I'm not experiencing it doesn't mean it's not necessarily true. And if aliens were to reach out and start connecting with people, we would think it would be through telepathy and dreams and stuff like that. And how our societies are, we would automatically write them off as like a quack, a quake, all things like that. But from what I heard from other people, there is this newer type of thing out there. It's just, I don't like the fact, because it's very misleading and very confusing, that they're mixing a lot of things. And it's not even like they're like eclectic with it. They're just like, okay, we're taking this from Christianity and Judaism, and we're putting that down there. We're gonna bring in Reiki as well. Speaking in tongues, which I've also met starseeds that did not believe they were aliens, but believed they were angels. So it's very interesting to me. But I will state, where I draw the line is if somebody could possibly be actually mentally, however you want to put that, and it could become a crisis, then that's when I cross the line. Because rhetoric and teachings like that, for anybody who is not in a good mental space, depending on what they have when it comes to, and I hate this term, mental things. I'm not going to say disabilities or disorders. But if you have an issue keeping in reality and possibly like going into a psychosis, then no, witchcraft would theoretically slightly be safer. But with any path that you're on, it's just like, shamans and other practices as well, you need to have one firm planted foot in reality. And now I have to catch up on these. Okay. It's because somebody mixed multiple religions together, mixed sci-fi in it, and called it Star Child, and it would make a terrible TV show. That is very true. I think this Star Certain sits on the lines with a lot of the with which I don't if I believe people are connecting with ETs, but I also don't know who the fuck I'm speaking most days either. Exactly. Download information and come from the brain. My brain hurts. Mine normally doesn't hurt, but normally there's a ringing, and the reason I like sticking with the ringing is because scientifically, depending on what's causing it, that's also the last time you're actually hearing that frequency. So it's kind of like your ears are dying to that specific wave tone. But like I said before, I'm also claircognizant. So I randomly know things anyways, but I've connected that with the Akasha records. I believe psychic and mediums, um, for one, before I say this, anybody can connect to the Akasha records. It does not take an expert or a specialist. They're your own records. You're gonna have contact with them. Um, or you're gonna be able to reach them. But what I also think that could be is if you are when you're gifted or anybody, if they ever have that experience where because like me and my partner have had conversations. I've had conversations with people online and I straight up just spoke like historical events, times, dates, everything, and I know for a fact I've never read anything on this subject and it comes up like word vomit. I believe that could be, especially if it's about you. I believe that it's a mix of connected consciousness versus also randomly connecting to your Akasha record or possibly somebody else's Akasha record, and that's where it's coming from. Some people would also call that source, depending on what you practice or even spiritually believe in. Okay, my ex is an alien. I don't know what he is, but he definitely wasn't human. Escapism. I also get a ringing in my ear. Sometimes it resonates with my jaw, and then I tune in and receive my download message and keep on keeping on. Yes, exactly. I've never had that. I've had one that lasted an hour, and then the only like fucked up experience that I had with the download was it's either a download or a full-on premonition, and I cannot believe I'm telling this story. I'm not going to go into a lot of details because for one, I don't want it to happen, and for two, so far on timeline wise, it hasn't happened, so we're good. But I was at my father-in-law's place, and all of a sudden, I went through an anxiety attack mixed with like a PTSD episode, but it wasn't my memories. It was like I was seeing certain flashes of certain things that were, I'm not gonna say going to happen, could happen. Um, and like I was there, like I felt it, I experienced it, I heard it, and it got so bad that my not stepfather, father-in-law, he kneeled down and was praying on me because he was scared. And how I was reacting physically, I was basically like kneel kicking the ground, and like pushing outward. But it was weird. Like I said, though, so far nothing like that has happened. Hopefully, it never does. But and well, obviously, I've never been to a war. I've never been in a war or anything like that. To be able to see or experience anything like that in this life, I've never experienced that before. So, and I still don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a premonition or if it was a major download or what the fuck happened, but it was bad. I also get a ringing. I get this. Last night I saw a vision of my partner as an older person, and then the present self kissed them, and they merged. Oh, I don't know what it means myself, but others love myself and the invasion. Past life memories, maybe. I thought it was a past life, but it also resonated with current world events that were going on then. It was just like, it kind of just like snowballed and got 10 times worse. And I have a video of it somewhere on my Google account. It's either that or I think I have a recording of it. I don't know if I saved it or not because it was on my other phone that fucking, the phone that I had before this one, it was old, like it was my grandmother's phone. and there were cracks in it, and I went walking to the mailbox one day and sweat got into the screen and completely fucking fried it. But I think it's still on my memory card. But and then I posted it on Facebook just to like I didn't post it publicly. I posted it privately to only me just so I could have it on record because like that's the one thing that people don't talk about having being a medium, a psychic, a witch, whatever, gifted, sighted. I'll say that's what I'm gonna start saying because I do not consider myself a psychic or a medium, but I have both qualities in my practice and in my daily life. Um, but fucking, they don't like tell you what it's like to dream, just dreams, and then you have a gut feeling of wait, could this come true? Was this just a dream, or is this premonition? And then even as it is, if it is premonition, could you change it? Because see, that was one of my theories that I had on deja vu's. Deja vu, let me rephrase that. And I've posted the video on here, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, go to my shorts, my little shorts here on my profile. And it's a duet. The guy explains all three types of deja vu's, but the one that I'm talking about is dream recall. So in these moments, me moving my hands like this, looking at the screen, seeing the comments on it, and the background to this, I'll have moments in my life where moments like that happen, and then it's like I'll forget it until it actually happens. And in that exact second that it's happening, it's like something in my brain clicks, and it's like, oh, you dream this. When having those, depending on because in my with mine, I only see a glimpse, but I dream of more, and I remember the the more apart that I dreamed of it, it never goes the actual way that I dreamed of it. So my biggest question behind that is like with me remembering and actually triggering that deja vu, does it actually like change? And not being able to decipher a vision form reality. Same. I don't know what they mean other than okay, past life memory maybe. Add ET to the mix and try to figure out if it happened. Now that would be an interesting experiment. See, I'm also slightly afraid because I have two meteorites, but I'm slightly afraid to mess with them because, like, what happens if I do make contact and they're not the people that are, they're not the beings that I think they are? So if I ever randomly just vanish out of thin air, it was the aliens. But same, I hate getting visions and not being able to understand, like, is it going to do it or is it just a dream? Yes, that's the worst, especially when it's traumatic stuff. Right? During my drug test, I saw shadow people. I often wonder about it if they were actually real, and I was seeing things, and no one could. I don't control when they listen, when they visit. Oh, and I've actually never really. I don't think I've ever actually had experience with shadow people before. But my brain, for some reason, is telling me that's a lie. Well, that was cryptic AF brain. Um, but they're interesting because I've had multiple conversations. Because see, my earlier lives that I've done before, we've had full-on conversations about like aliens. I've mixed everything. Well, not really mixed them. They're just I love talking about aliens, conspiracy theories, all of that because to me, what I've learned living here in America, every single time somebody says something can't happen or it won't happen, it happens. We had an historical event, and I can never remember the president, but we had a parade, and there was another world leader sitting next to the president, and the world leader was like, "Hey, so there had been like speculations that y'all have new equipment in the military." They were talking about a fighter jet and a missile, um, and the president's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. Take in mind, it's currently strolling down in the middle of the fucking parade because he goes, isn't that what I'm talking about? The president looked him directly in the face and he goes, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. I mean, if you watch the any part of the live and the meeting that they did where they talked about, I don't know what they're calling it now, UPOs, extra, no, it's not extraterrestrial. Unidentified aerial phenomenon. There we go. There we go. When they were talking about there is a very, very historical one, and you can find this on podcast episodes, YouTube videos. I believe it happened in the 70s or 80s. And I've either already talked about this at this exact same time in the daytime here on YouTube, or or this conversation's about to trigger a deja vu. But you can look, and they actually had eyewitnesses to this in the town that it happened at. But they had glowing saucers, or I think it was red balls, orange or reddish orbs, fly over the nuclear facility, and they activated the nukes and then deactivated them like multiple times. And at first, they thought it was a malfunction, / they thought that we were being attacked, and / they thought that, like, we were being hacked. And, like, this is well documented, well known, because what I mean, it was eyewitnessed. I'm not necessarily just talking about, like, your regular citizens. I'm talking about military professionals or military people. And when they brought it up to, like, the head of our security, he's like, no, I have no idea what you're talking about. And everybody in the room was like, dude, really? Like, so, and I will find it very interesting that multiple things happened the week that they had that conversation leading up to it, right? So, for one, a mom on TikTok was randomly pointing her telescope at the moon, and it looks in the video clear as day, it looks like something shoots off from the surface of the moon. But before that, a week before they had that meeting with national security, a group of scientists released articles stating that they would like to possibly send nukes to space and detonate them to attract extraterrestrial aliens to our planet. And then they had that conversation. It makes sense. The U.S. government's not going to go on live air and be like, yo, by the way, we're not alone. No, that would cause mass hysteria worldwide. That would make every religious person completely lose their shit depending on their religion. They would do it slowly. I remember that for some odd reason. Check out the Zimbabwe incident where a UFO landed in ET encounter in a schoolyard. Yes, yes, yes. I know about that. There are things they don't want you to know about. It's a podcast, and then conspiracy theorists or conspiracy theories, and then Necronomicon. They do that one. And I love podcasts like that. I feel like aliens have been here before and here now. I believe they are too. There's a lot. I don't know where I heard. It may have been from Ancient Aliens, because I'm not going to lie. I got obsessed with that series. Only due to the fact scientists still have not explained that. Natives here in America and Canada and Mexico have all stated that there were structures that were just here. Is it the Inca? It's either the Inca or the Aztecs. Some of their history states the same thing. Like, they did not necessarily build these giant cities. They were already there. And in other parts of the world, some of the most ancient civilizations have all said the same thing. Some of these ancient structures were already here. On top, now, fair warning, if you're here for witchy content, we're about to go straight up into space with the tinfoil hats, but we're just hanging out. There are radiation marks on the surface of Mars that is normally only created after a nuke has been detonated. And no, you're good, I love this. Because it kind of does give me a break from, like, the witchy content a little bit. But some scientists, they can't explain that, because they're like, we haven't fired nukes to the... I did. I'm very curious, because when I read the description of it, it's supposed to be, like, really, really small. But I'm like, come on, man. Like, come on. We're having too much strange shit right now happen. But somebody stated that the reason extraterrestrials have not fully reached out and made full contact worldwide is due to the fact that we're one of the only species that have created nukes. It's a valid thing. Like, why would you create something? And some of the ones that we have never been tested. because they're technically too powerful. So just think about that. And me and my partner have gotten into so many arguments about this because he's like, well, no, you know, we're America. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. In this day and age, one or two people fire, it's all bye bye from there. And then if you really look at it extraterrestrial wise, we're technically the aliens, right? So they recently found a meteorite, and my Skittles are kicking in, so this is going to be a very fun conversation. Um, they recently found a meteorite and very finally like classified it and like fucking put it out there that this meteorite carried every single ingredient to life, to the building blocks of all life, right? So exactly 2 feet, but I don't think it's ET. If you're extreme the picture, I think it's actually a neutral erosion. Oh, okay. That makes sense too. Um, oh my god, brain. Keep on track. Oh yeah, building blocks of life. We're off Stardust. Yes, exactly. Um, and that's what I've told people before. We're literally made of the stars, right? The dinosaurs. What if for this planet, the natural design of it would have actually been dinosaurs? Like that the meteorite never came here and hit it. What would they be like today? Yes, I know we still have like early, or we still have animals that are very well basically their ancestors, right? But like what if we and the building blocks of human life were on that rock that crashed to earth and completely changed all of the weather, everything? What if it was almost like a seed being planted from space? Right? So we know about there are certain flowers and stuff like that. It takes a specific environment to create it. What if we literally are the aliens, as in we were not from here, we were not created here? In a way, yes, like parasites. Man cannot replicate some of the ancient temples. Exactly, exactly. Like there is a church, and I will actually try my best to do a video on this, because now I figured out the show that I can get the name from it. There is a church somewhere across the world that was carved directly and geologically like perfect. Like every measurement, everything is perfect on it. It was carved down into a mountain. It was not carved on the outside. It was carved out, but going downward. Hello, hello. I actually feel like humans were more powerful back in ancient times, can manipulate elements and manifest, but we are suppressed now. I also agree with that 100%. But hello, hello. But yes, in a way like parasites. Um, and that's the reason that like there's a lot of things that doesn't make sense with us. For an example, from what we understand of our human history, as in not the ancient one, but this one right now, um, we were like chugging along, right? Through the evolution of, you know, the car, this, that, the wheel, everything like that. And then all of a sudden, and I've always said this before, so if you follow me for a while, you already know what I'm about to say. But all of a sudden, we went from having phones like this that looked like you were carrying a brick around with you to we had the first touchscreen. It was like evolutionary wise, we jumped like 10 years ahead when it comes to technology. And nobody can explain that. And if you can, please let me know because I want to know. But we jumped. I mean, in Y2K, we still thought that either A, the computers were going to come alive and kill everybody, or a virus was going to break out and basically wipe out the entire internet as we know it and crash all the satellites. Um, and it was only because the coding that they had back then, like the calendar wise, wouldn't like flip over. It has something to do with the coding back then versus now. And they like thought that everything was just all technology was just gonna like plummet and just stop working. We went from that 10 years later to we jumped. It doesn't make sense. And I have no idea how that's lined up with we are the parasites that came from space. But and this is a horrible idea because they've literally made movies and books about it. Um we all of a sudden like I want to know where that asteroid came from Because if we can basically search that way back into space, thanks to the new telescope and shit that we have, why not totally like see if we can actually pinpoint? Or was the Big Bang some type of celestial body crashing together and that's where we came from? Like, there are so many questions and so many ways I can go with this. But I want to know where it came from. Our tech hasn't evolved at the same rate. We were 100 years behind from public facing, and all they gave us was a touchscreen. This is true, but I will say the military and other world militaries, they definitely have way better tech than we do, which I think that's what you're basically saying. My theory is jumping universes, timelines, or whatever. I'm definitely starting to agree with that too, because this is the only Mandela effect that personally happened to me. And it sucked because when I realized it, me and my partner had just got together and I just moved down here. And I completely went on a, like, I almost had a psychotic break over this. So there was this glow in the dark space book that I got because at one point in time I was obsessed with space. And I remember this book so well because certain planets were actually, it was just made up of the glow in the dark stuff. It had a texture and everything. So you could actually feel the shape and everything like that of it. And the universe, the image that they had of the universe and the way that it was turning and looking is different than the universe if you Google or if you fucking look up a picture of our universe. It is different than what I know for a fact was in that book. And my partner looked at me and he goes, "You do realize you sound completely fucking crazy." And I'm like, well, yes, I never said I was sane, but that's not the point. The point is, I know for a fact this is different. And I've looked up the book. I've just not got my hands on it. And I wish I could go back in time to get the book that I had. Oh man, I watched a great show on Prime called Undone. It's got a Requiem of Dream vibe, but all about shadow ancestor work and mind consciousness. Oh, I'm gonna have to Undone. I'm gonna have to find that. But like it fucks with me because like there was another time. This doesn't have to do with Mandela effects, but I've still not been able to look up the picture. So it was after 2001. Was the moon? I was probably about 12 to 13. I believe I was about 12 to 13. Also around the time that I got into witchcraft, but it was not even about witchcraft. I was with my friend hanging out at her house, and we looked up for some reason, and it literally looked like a planet either exploded or it was this round shape, like almost like a jellyfish shape, and then there was another shape like this, like going the opposite direction and outward with a tail like this, and it wasn't clouds and it was very far off, and we stopped and stared at this bitch for like 20 minutes straight because we had no fucking idea what it was. We walk inside, we came back out, and it was gone. And I still have no idea to this day, and I've spent hours upon hours looking at like different space stuff from different types of stars, like the making of a star, the explosion of a star, the different stages of that. I have no idea what it was, and I was too young, and technology did not work the way that it works now, and it's fucking weird. So like I've experienced a lot of weird shit. I believe in multiverse and multiple universes. Honestly, same. And I didn't. I honestly, the whole shifting of realities, the whole shifting of timelines, I thought that it was completely fucking, like, I just didn't understand it. Until sitting here at this house, I don't remember what I was doing, but I do remember what I was doing. I was talking to my partner because every day, during the week that he works, normally, unless I'm live, or if I have an interview, we're talking on the phone as he's coming home to me. That, and I also tell him like the things that we need to pick up. And fucking, he said something, or I heard something. I heard something on his end, and everything around me completely fucking changed. Now, take in mind what I'm about to say literally was probably only seconds, but it felt slightly longer. It was so weird because it was like a flash, but it was like multiple phases or multiple flashes. But every time it flashed, it was like you putting on virtual reality goggles where everything around you changes. Um, and it was like this like almost post-apocalyptical ish world. And he was going out to like grab supplies, and I heard him cock his poo poo. In reality, we don't have that here. um like I just have a bunch of knives and swords and athames. um but and then all of a sudden it like I came back, and I've done that twice, and I don't understand it because it's not like it's not like a deja vu. It's not like I'm like fucking epilepsy. It's not like I'm falling asleep or anything. And then there was one point right after the lockdown started going into place when it comes to the panorama and the whole COVID thing. My partner walked into a gas station. It was around seven or eight, because like, and this was early in the year, I believe. Yeah, it was. I think January, February. And he walked into the Circle K, and this particular Circle K is not really built like other Circle Ks. It's got like legit, it looks like it should be in a movie due to how many windows that it has. And the other way that it's like how it looks. I know that sounds weird, but it looks like it would be in like a TV show. Um, I sat in the car, and he walked in to pick up a drink and fucking pay for some gas and some cigarettes. And he said that when he walked in, he had this weird flash, like experienced the same thing that I did, except for it looked like everything had just been abandoned. And we didn't understand what it was. Like it was weird. And then prior to that year, it kind of matched with the rioting, the toilet paper shortage, and like I cannot explain it. I call it a quantum leap, not necessarily a shift. Um, but I want to, because I don't know what triggered it, and I want to learn what triggered it. Um, Plus, every time that happens, it seems like the world around us just gets fucking crazier. Whoa, trippy. My YouTube just glitches, and the video went back and started playing from the spot where we were talking about deja vu earlier. Oh, holy shit. See, and the last time I talked about this, I was walking home, and the live fucked up as well. Yep, because I went to check the mail. See, that's the only thing that creeps me out about this, because it's giving me Fringe. It is giving me Fringe vibes. If you've ever watched Fringe, there was a point where the entire series had already just completely drove off that cliff. They were just kind of riding the wave. Where when the two opposite places switched, or when they merged, what wound up happening was like there was an episode where the timelines were trying to fix themselves. They were trying to like put the right pieces back. And it caused all these horrible fucking problems. But I'm like, if we did shift the timeline, or we were knocked out of a timeline, our original timeline, it would make sense, because nature finds a way. Yes, I understand I just quoted one of the best, greatest movies of all time, Jurassic Park, but it's true. Life always finds a way. Um, and it would make sense that it would try to correct itself. Because, see, it like that also goes into the simulation theory, but with the simulation, that was kind of just disproven due to the fact that meta was created. I get alternate realities when I'm really stressful or meditating. Exactly, with that, and I wish mine were like that, because like I would be able to know the trigger, but no, mine's just like not even like, oh, I'm going through an anxiety attack. Oh, I shift. No, that would make it easier. No, it's just like randomly boom. And I want to know what it is. Because like back in, I want to say 2013 or 14, around 2015, There was a shift. Something changed. I remember because I woke up and I'm like, everything feels weird. And not like a disassociation, not like I wake up one day and I'm like, oh, holy shit, how the fuck did I get to like 30? I was just now like, 14. No, not anything like that. It felt off. Um, and it makes sense because I mean, we're going back in time here in the United States with all the right shit, not making it political, with all the rights and legal shit that's being questioned right now. It's like whoever's writing our story just dropped a couple of tabs and just went all fucking off the hell. Exactly, and I've said that before, and other people have like, I think you know what you mean. And what's insane about this, if you follow me on TikTok and you've been following me for the past year, last or 2 years, last year I started having dreams of a specific town. But it wasn't a normal town because they didn't have cash. They bartered or traded. It was very weird, but it was here in the United States. Um, and there was this specific place that I remember going multiple times. And the reason this is so specific is because I would wake up, go through my day, go back to sleep, and be in the same town, just a different scenario. I follow somebody who bought a church and their artist that looks like the very beginning stages, and or another one that is close to them that is a giant church that was turned into a giant crystal store. That's the point of the work I'm doing in my craft. Why are we living these things? Right? I believe we're getting to transition back into the bartering system. It would damn sure make a lot easier. Hold on, I gotta check something. Oh, okay. I kept hearing talking outside, and I'm like, that's not normal talking. I was correct. The neighbor's got some type of like delivery guy or some some type of company over there. I think that may be a quantum realm in the multiverse, like in the Marvel comics. It very well could be, and like, what's even fucking insane with that, and to kind of push that a little bit more, um, I think I posted them on here. I think I did. Uh, if not, you're about to relearn. There is something that happened in our world history that a lot of people do not talk about, and they need to. So there are 78, I believe, 78 random number generating machines all around the world. Basically, in a layman's term, they pull these numbers from the barometric pressure system that's directly above them, which is constantly changing. So mathematically and even statistically, no one number is going to be the same. It's like if a group of people shared the exact same experience or hallucination or dream, it would break what we know of our reality. Um, During 9/11, the morning of 9/11, before it actually happened, all of these number generation numbers, all the machines synced up and started printing the exact same numbers. After that, and then again, this was before the actual incident occurred, or the multiple incidences that day occurred. So they didn't understand it, and then all of a sudden all hell broke loose, right? So that same the people, the scientists who study those machines started, after that, they started interviewing people all around the world, asking them how did they feel that day. And some people actually speculate that this story is also what slightly inspired Sandra Bullock's premonition movie. Um, but everybody says the same thing. They woke up and something was off. They knew something was going to happen that day. Even halfway across the world, they knew something was going to happen. It was the first scientific bit of data, like raw data, that proves that we are connected in some way, shape, or form, whether that's through certain frequencies or because I'm pretty sure everybody that's watching this, or if y'all rewatch it, will also experience this, where when you hang out with the right person for a certain amount of time or be around them, you basically start sharing the same brain waves. Like you're completely in each other's minds, as in you'll finish each other's sentences. Me and my roommates and me and my partner, well, primarily me and my roommates, we used to freak people out because we'd randomly look at people in public and we're like, get the fuck out of my head. It was because we were syncing up. Um, Now, relationship wise, some people argue that you're just around that person so much that you learn their body, you learn to read their bodies. But I believe it's more than that. I believe that you actually fully sync up, which again goes back with the connected consciousness. I'm always in my friend's head, lol. We're starting to use more if our brains are not just 10%. They say we do. I've actually heard that that's incorrect. Like you're saying, it's incorrect. That's not actually true. That we use 10% of our brains, as much as we can only use 10% of our brain at one time. Women, though, and certain other. I'm not trying to do the whole male female thing, but women's brains, they can do something that a typical male brain cannot, even scientifically, which is they can think about what they're going to have for dinner, but also what they need to pick up at the grocery store. Or basically, y'all can use both sides of your brain at once. A lot of men actually cannot do that. But the one thing that has been linked to that, because I can do it, the one thing that has been linked to that is there's a specific place in the brain that in females it is larger, and or in a specific chemical it is larger. Some LGBT people, when examined by science, have that spot that's also larger. Um, so that's an interesting connection, if you will. And then if you want to look at the third eye, or the pineal gland, however you pronounce it, basically the third eye, it also has crystals in it. So I mean, on top of us being made up of stardust. So like I really am, at the end of the day, I really do believe that a lot of the limitations that we have are because of our society. And what I mean like that was, I always used to have this theory that and it's so ironic that I said this, because at the beginning of this video I completely said the opposite. But like the actual Knight Templar days, like the old school days, I believe that the magic that they experienced was different from what we experience today, as in it was 10 times way more. Because for one, they didn't have technology to distract them. They were constantly outside working with the land, living off the land. And I mean, all of these myths, dragons, and all of these monsters, at some point in time, we had to see something that reminded us of that. So unless, back in the night days, they also dealt with dinosaurs, I don't understand how they would be able to imagine a fucking giant dragon. Even with your dreams, everything that you dream, minus psychics and premonitions, you've seen at some point in time. So you've seen it on a book, you've seen it in a movie, you've seen it on a commercial, or you've read about it, right? So that doesn't make sense. And I believe that as we advanced, if you will, as a human civilization, I also believe that magic kind of went to sleep, if you will. It kind of died down because a lot of people were either, I mean, look at everything we've done to the properties and land, and like there was almost a highway built right next to the fucking Stonehenge. And I have a friend who lives in the UK who recently went, and they're like, the energy is not really, I mean, yeah, it's there, but it's like tainted in a way, due to, well, modern day construction and pollution. Not to get like eco-friendly or anything like that, but we know that Earth that we live on is not just a rock floating into space. It is living and breathing. All of the vegetation, it's connected by, the roots, and then I always forget this fucking term, mycelium. Through the mycelium, it's all connected. And trees can identify if you walk up to a plant or a tree with a pair of scissors or a pair of chompers, they recognize that you are about to come up and harm them. Like, they actually know you're about to prune them or you're about to cut them down. Um, Thanks to the mycelium, if a tree is sick, the mycelium can divert nutrients either to it to try to heal it or away from it to make sure that sickness doesn't spread through all the other trees in the forest. Um, the oldest tree, like they've realized that the oldest tree, the one that's been there the longest, normally that's what the main mycelium is from because it's experienced everything. What I mean through that as it's experienced everything that nature has thrown at it, whether that was a severe drought, whether that was fire, whether that was a parasite, all these different things that one tree has not only experienced, but lived through and survived. And it remembers that. So it will talk to the other bushes and trees. And with the mycelium in itself, the mycelium is what does it. It can dictate which tree gets what nutrients, and it's fucking insane because so many people don't know that. My partner, he works in outside every fucking day, he did not know that, and it blew his mind when I told him that. I was like, yeah, everything is really connected. When we say that, we're not just being like tree hugging hippies. There's nothing wrong with hugging a tree, but like we're not just being out there. We legit fucking mean it. It's connected. So why not? Why could not to say we are connected? We're just more complex in a way, if you will, due to the fact that we have our own consciousness and our own. Which I mean, what I just said also dictates and shows that trees also have a consciousness of their own. I just happened to look down and see a live indicator. Hello, yay! I'm not here. It's time to leave. Oh, hello, hello. I agree. It's way more than that. I'm always in my friend's head. Okay. Harvest my pineal gland when I die and turn the chrysalis into a necklace, please and thank you. Oh, I actually love that. Um, and yes, magic is reawakening. But like the interesting thing is, me and my partner had a conversation about this yesterday because he's like, well, you know, if you live out in the country, you should be okay with no fluoride in the water systems because here in Florida, if you live outside of outside of the city or the city limits, you're going to have a well on your property, which means it's a direct tap to the aquifer. But two things: fluoride is extremely heavily laced and the main ingredients in most toothpaste. Secondly, they just did a study. Now, my partner disagreed with what I'm about to say, but they just did a study. There's a part in Florida where the fish um, are basically high on antidepressants, high blood pressure medicine, and a few other ingredients that are pharmaceuticals. And I'm not even joking. You can look it up. It was found in their blood due to the fact that it was found in the water. Um, so if that's happening, yes, I know Earth is a natural like processor of it, but I don't know. I will say our water tastes better cold than any other water. Um, but I also don't know how. I don't know because if you really want to get way out there with the conspiracies, um, certain people that dictated like what was in what. Now this really does go out there conspiracy wise. But certain people had a way of manipulating the system to where, like, I mean, the U.S. government, when it comes, yes, I just said the U.S. government, but the U.S. government. Oh, by the way, somehow I'm remembering this now. A lot of the starseed rhetoric and the shifting rhetoric, that's where that came from. Specifically, the shifting timelines and the quantum leaping and everything. That's where that came from because the CIA did that massive data dump and everybody ripped that stuff to shreds on TikTok. Um, Blew the, what is it called? Oh my god, multiple projects that like break it down. And I will state, like they still use second sighters, people that can project their sight outward to farther locations. They still use that in modern warfare today. The last time I know for a fact they used it was one of the guys that had to do with 9/11, or one of the guys associated with that issue. When they found him, I think it was in Obama's era. Was it Obama or was it Trump? Obama or Trump won. They both did it, and I also think Biden did it too. But anyways, not bringing them up. Um, they used one of the psychics or one of the seers. I call them seers. They used one of them to actually find the location that they were in, and it was identical to what they drew down on the map. So the test that they did back in the 60s and 70s, if you actually look into that, it's actually fucked up because a lot of those experiments it goes against human rights, as in people were literally laced with LSD and acid, by the U.S. intelligence divisions. But what they found out though is it's actually real. Like I can do it. I cannot do it on command. That is one of my life goals. But I can project my sight to where my eyes can be closed and blindfolded, and I can see very fucking clearly everything around me. The only difference is it's not in like color, but it's also not in normal black and white. Poor fish. I feel like we need to go back to Neotech times. We really do. We really do. Magic is nature. Is magic natural, wild, and is untamable. I agree. I agree. I can do with handy dandy mushrooms. Same. And I want to talk about that, but the last time I brought those up and a couple other things up that are all legal, depending on your state, that video got flagged. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. Regardless of progress, been saying this since 18. Likely we are headed to two fractions of society. I agree with that, honestly. Because, see, the problem with, like, world peace or utopia, like everybody thinks, it's possible, but it's not going to happen in our generations. Now, it very well may be this generation, the youngest generation right now, it very well could be them because of what we're going through now. But the problem with that is everybody has a different definition of like the perfect world or the perfect society. And at that same time, I don't think that's what we need because there's no perfect utopia society in nature. Um, like in any, I mean, even with like ants, things that build these great colonies, there's still some type of pure structure. But the only thing that we should change is letting rich people dictate what we do. I'll 100% agree with that. And there does need to be a big change. It just doesn't need to happen all at once because, like, there's a lot of people online and they're like, let's down with the system. And I'm like, no. Could you imagine if, like, worldwide all of the higher powers just completely collapsed? It would be complete fucking chaos. And not in a good way, not the good chaos, the like really, really bad chaos. It'd be mass mayhem everywhere. We are paving the path for the future generations. We really are. We really are. Possibly, but not probably. Anyone want to use their craft to help me take down the Vatican for the humans? Now, see, that would be hard to take down, though. Google left my fucking ass up. Yes, Google would damn sure be a start. Down with Google first. And then Twitter. But, like, interesting fact, though, with the younger generations, they released this study. A lot of them are leaving social media behind. They're like, what's the point of just spending your life? Basically, everything that we got obsessed with social media because it was so new with, like, documenting everything. I guess it's officially old now because they're like, why? So they're turning away from it, which is a good thing. I mean, maybe we'll have less ADHD because I damn sure know the internet makes that shit 10 times worse. Good. I'm proud of the kids for going back to the old ways. Same, honestly, same. Like, besides being able to connect to so many people and helping so many people, I totally, like, it's one of those life lessons where I wanted a newer phone to where I could have multiple apps and all this other shit. And since then, I hate it. Fucking hate it. But I love it at the same time. I just hate my dependency on it. And I've seen people, like, go back to flip phones. How the fuck people do that, I have no idea. Like, I live way too far out. I don't know enough people physically around me for me to be able to do that and still be sane. I would become a full hermit. Which, I mean, there's really nothing wrong with that. My dad has a flip phone. I'm not even gonna. No, I'm not even gonna say that. No, I am happy with the phone that I have. Universe, please do not take this shit from me. I will say I've had I've had ancestors. The universe one step the fuck in because like where I live, we have perfect service, like perfect. I've had days where that shit has just completely stopped working, and those are days where I completely just check out. I keep forgetting I'm not on TikTok, so I can show a cigarette. Oh wait, what time is it? Okay. Okay, so probably in the next 20 minutes, I'll probably be logging off because I've got to fix supper. TikTok is showing food perfectly cooking with fire. Makes my heart happy. Oh, that is amazing. I have to jump off here and head to work. Have a wonderful evening. You too, you too. Um, but yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and actually log off. That way I can decide how I'm gonna season these pork chops. And if I'm either going to fry them or bake them. And then I also have to wash dishes. So, but thank y'all so much for everybody who just literally just came to hang out and have a cool conversation. Um, I probably will put this public to where like everybody will be able to rewatch it, but it'll probably be like sometime tomorrow. Um, but yeah, thank y'all so much, and yeah, I will see y'all later. Of course, of course. But yeah, thank y'all so much for following, liking, sharing, all of that. And until then, I will see y'all later. Peace.